Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Unacademy. This is Success Sampath interacting with you, ladies and gentlemen. Do you want to become IAS, IPS, IFS, IRS? We Unacademy, with top educators of India and meticulously designed quality content, we have been waiting for you to shape you so that you realize your dream. Once you enroll yourself in Unacademy, ladies and gentlemen, you will undergo a great learning experience. You know very well about Unacademy. Unacademy is India's largest and the best online education platform. What are all the benefits you are likely to get once you enroll yourself in Unacademy? Ladies and gentlemen, if you ask me, yes, you will have daily live classes like this, and you can chat with your educator, and you can engage in all-round discussions, especially productive discussions, and you can also ask your genuine doubts, and you can participate in the answer polls also. All these things that you can do while sessions going on. And you got structured courses which is completely in alignment with the pattern of examination of UPSC and syllabus too, so that you never get deviated from the expected framework. Ladies and gentlemen, yeah, and we keep on emphasizing this particular point in all our videos, presentations. You might be well aware of this. Yes, it's not knowing this stuff, knowing to deliver this stuff, because delivery matters. For that purpose, we evaluate your preparation in various stages. And we also conduct, regular mock tests and quiz programs so that you get detailed analysis or report based on your performance. So you come to know where you are strong, where you are weak, and the time you have consumed for, that solving a particular question, everything. And beyond that, you get unlimited access once you enroll yourself in Unacademy platform. This is what we are talking about. And you got, that live and recorded videos once you enroll yourself. You can learn from anywhere, anytime. And whatever may be your availability of devices, whether it is mobile phone, laptop, even desktop. It is that way, ladies and gentlemen. These are all the benefits. You can ask me, for that purpose, what should I do, sir? Yes, you are supposed to download Unacademy learning app immediately. Whether it is Android, whether it is iOS, you can download to have access to all these benefits what I enlisted so far. And meanwhile, let me welcome, Mr. Preetham Kumar Sethi. Welcome, gentlemen, and very good evening. And Neelambar Desh. Yeah, a very good evening, gentlemen. And one more person, of course, Vaishesh Parewa. Welcome, gentlemen. Welcome to Unacademy. This is Success Sampath interacting with you. I think this is right time. And let's move to the next one. So, who is this interacting with you, ladies and gentlemen? This is Success Sampath from Chennai. I've got the unique experience of got exposed to the field of, engineering, management, and legal education with 25 years of experience in the field of coaching, especially for civil service examination. I could witness with my team, the 250 plus results of IAS, IPS, IRS, and IFS officials working throughout India and abroad as well as IFS officers. Yes, what is the vision of mine, if you ask me, ladies and gentlemen, to provide career solution, especially by enabling youths of India as a humble beginning to embrace the globe later. It is fortunate, very fortunate, that Unacademy also has got the same vision. We are working together so that you realize your dream. And if you want to reach me, that for all your queries, apart from that my live chat interaction, you can reach me in my Telegram channel or even in my YouTube channel, ladies and gentlemen. And you got that you can use either Success Sampath or Sampath Tiruvengidam as IDs to reach me, and we will take you to the next level. I think it is right time. It is not only me. We have got a team, more than 100 plus top educators, part of Unacademy, to help you, to shape you, so that you become a leader in different capacities. You are going to lead the nation, govern the nation, right? In UPSC Civil Services Examination, we have got more than 15,000 courses, the subject-specific module, time duration-specific module. And meanwhile, let me welcome, Ram Kumar Aluwala. Very good evening, gentlemen. Welcome. Welcome to Unacademy. Yes, and it is that way. And beyond that, we got major programs, part of Unacademy, Plus program and Iconic program. So the Plus program, once you enroll, you got this much advantages. You got live classes, test series, unlimited practices, structured sessions, schedules. And you can go for either, the 12 months program or 24 months program according to your convenience, where you can use my referral code, say success, to avail 10% discount. And we strongly recommend more than this plus Iconic program because it has got unique features. There will be a personal mentor, a personal coach to guide you, to understand your nature and to give you feedback accordingly. And he or she also will suggest you the schedule. This is more than plus, the advantages. And here too you can go for, that 12-month schedule and even 24-month schedule, where you can use my referral code, say success, to avail 10% discount. Technically speaking, you end up paying mere 80 to 100 rupees per day. That's not even, that your consumption of, that snacks for that, you spend. So you ensure parallelly your career in the nation making. Of course, you are going to be part of Indian bureaucracy that way, ladies and gentlemen. This is, I think, right time. We have to focus on the very purpose for which we are today. Yes. So this is part of, international relations, you might be aware. So as we individuals interact, among, that ourselves, the same way, it is interaction about, that among nations, among nation states. So as to create, that global state system, you might be aware, it is not this or that. When we talk about interaction, it is multifaceted aspects, of course. It may be in terms of, restructuring the international institutions so as to make relevance, so as to solve the purpose. Or it may be in terms of energy related, we keep on talking about it, you might be aware. Or it may be in terms of, that economic or trade, commercial you call, or technological. When I say energy related, it may be, that over International Solar Alliance we spoke. The same way, the thermonuclear, that agreement we are talking about. Otherwise, maybe nuclear agreements. Or maybe, that the tropical countries, of course, for, solar energy, the renewable energy resources, maybe even, that importing oil from the Gulf countries in spite of the sanctions from the United States of America. Under CATSA, you might be aware. Or it may be defense, security purpose, whether it is formation of Quad. Even today we are talking about, the change of leadership in Japan. So the continuity we expect. That the quadrilateral group that we have got formation where, that we share the platform with Japan, where apart from that, the strategic partnership we have, it is that way. So India was, that is always special for, global countries, that whether it is waiver, even, that the victims of, that little man, fat boy, that atom bombs dropping, you might be aware. At the end of World War, that the Japan, in spite of that, entered into civilian nuclear cooperation agreement with India. So we are blessed in so many ways for your kind information. In spite of that, we are not. It's not free from challenges. Of course, one of the challenges, especially in the neighborhood, that we talk about the landlocked neighborhood with Nepal. That is a very bone of contention. The very purpose of our interaction today. Because in the previous session we spoke about Indo-Sri Lanka relationship, of course maritime. When I say maritime, you got even Maldives part and parcel of it. And we got, landlocked, we said, and beyond that, extended neighborhood. Of course, where you bring, even the Central Asia portion. So immediate neighborhood, it is that way. So it may be regional or international or multifora level interaction. And beyond that, the policies and programs of all these developed countries and its impact on India, especially our Indian diaspora in different parts of the world, we have to appreciate them for the contribution to the nation's development. And even Prime Minister Modi ji, whenever he interacts with, when visiting foreign nations, ultimately he is very keen to have this diaspora diplomacy, you are aware, and appealing them to come to our nation and, that to be part of the developmental process. In what way the very geopolitics is working, in what way it is going to ensure security for India. So ensure peace at the global level. This is all about, ladies and gentlemen, the international relations. That's a brief introduction. And some of you may be newcomers. I think, I take this opportunity to give that brief. And you can also watch all my previous videos. It's already available in YouTube, as well as, that the very Unacademy platform itself, you've got every day, the special sessions. So this introduction we are talking about, and there will be that linking what we spoke with syllabus, because that's what our connection. And then we are going to talk about Indo-Nepal relations, and to speak about the context, especially why we have taken up this particular topic. And very well, we have got shared history and culture with Nepal. It's not only because of the neighborhood that goes back, even the religious connection, of course, we talk about the Puranic connection, the Sitas, ladies and gentlemen, it is that way we are talking about. We've got Puranic connection, historical connection, cultural connection, religious connection. And Nepal, of course, that's the point, that the very Buddhism related aspects also we have to share. And the very, the security forces, Gurkhas, we are calling, that around 30,000 people, that the force is employed. And a lot of, that Nepal is, that Indians working in Nepal, Indian investments in Nepal, beyond that, where we enter into, economic cooperation, our assistance, line of assistance to the very Nepal, all these things we are going to enlist. The line of credit, of course, the Prime Minister, Modi ji, so far visited twice. You are already aware, right? When the economic blockade was there in Nepal, for that, directly, indirectly, that our neglection became responsibility. So it is Prime Minister Modi ji intervened by participating and fixing the issue. The same way, this time also we are expecting. And of course, since we are preoccupied with COVID situation, and that our neighborhood, irritation, especially the top aggression from China, and we are very busy in solving that. Definitely, we will also fix this particular issue. The issue is about, that our own security related issue only. Rest of the things, everything fantastic, we have to say. And we also suspect the inclination of Nepal towards, China. When they were very eager, ready to solve within the short span of time their own border disputes. Why can't we? Though we have got, the 200 years old relationship with Nepal. So all these things, where and all the areas of cooperation, and whether it is economic, and whether it is, even the power, energy related, the sharing of water resources, the areas of concern, as I spoke, the border disputes, of course, the claiming of land by especially, that Nepal, the Kalapani and Lipu Lake associated regions, for your kind information. And also our, that defense minister recently inaugurating, that the roads and ultimately the protest from Nepal, apart from they came to streets, and also media, and also, that the very Nepal government, publishing, the map, where bringing all these disputed territories there. All we are talking about. So when this is, that, see, you can't choose your neighbor. And you have to understand that, India's aspiration to be a global player, as we spoke in Indo-Sri Lanka relationship, we have to, that maintain our good relationships in such a way. So neighbors should not feel, that threatened. Rather, already we were practicing, Gujarat doctrine, you are aware. The non-reciprocal help we extended to the small neighbors, so that we don't expect anything in return. Rather, at least, that the goodwill we enjoy, already we benefited out of that. So the regional player in the South Asia, and we want to have, that the global player role. India, that aspiration, India's aspiration to become, the global superpower among rest of the superpowers in the world, so that, the multipolarity, letter and spirit, will be practiced. When that is the scenario, in what way we have to engage the very Nepal more and fix all those our, the dispute, that discrepancies, of course, in delineating borders, otherwise, the remnants of border disputes otherwise. And recent, the abrogation of Article 370, where we restructured Jammu Kashmir, that also culminated in this, that the claim. And we parallelly suspect enemy's enemy friend. So anyway, from the days of democracy, that the frequent visit of leaders between the two nations, all these things, that, so we have to nurture fantastic, apart from assisting the very Nepal to reach, that the maritime, that logistics, of course, it's a landlocked country, you might be aware. And we have got some more things to be done, that's a cry, and we should not miss the chance, as that as we fixed in the past, especially by our Prime Minister Modi ji 2014, this time also we are very optimistic it will be fixed. So today's discussion in detail, it's going to be centered around this, and we are going to suggest the way forward measures for that, and what are all the resources to be consulted finally. Ladies and gentlemen, I think it is the right time. Let's move to Elaboration. I think, we elaborated very well the very international relations, no need of repeating. I think, you got idea. I think the very relevance here, what this topic, in what way it is related to UPSC Civil Service Examination preparation, especially mains. Meanwhile, let me welcome, so Nilambar Dash. I'm from Tamil Nadu, gentlemen. So we are Indian first, later I'm from South. Hope you are aware. Success Sampath. And Aryan Koundal, Himachal Pradesh. Okay, Nilambar, of course, I think that interaction is going on here. Ladies and gentlemen, the YouTube, yes, it's that way. So the very syllabus you know very well. This is what one-liner in prelims you got. The current events of national, international importance. The questions are very straight and that's simple, direct, facts-based. But whereas in mains, it is descriptive type. It's not like MCQs of prelims. You're going to write here. So where you got 50 marks, especially 10 marks to 15 marks questions, ladies and gentlemen, what we spoke, the spirit, you get formalization, especially through UPSC syllabus. It is this way. And here you can locate this particular question, the topic in this way. Bilateral, the relationship with neighborhood, here also with neighborhood, Indo-Nepal relation or the relationship with neighborhood. And beyond that, that in what way the SAARC, BIMSTEC, we engage this Nepal. And even, that the spirit of NAM getting reflected here. It is that way. So you see the role of international institutions. And we also participate in the BIMSTEC ministerial meet beyond that. And effect of policies, that the very release of map by Nepal, in what way it is going to impact our own, that territorial integrity or security related affairs. In what way it is going to mar the open border. We've got 1,800 kilometer open border with Nepal we enjoy. In what way the very, measure, from our side, of course, that their accusation that, once you ask permission to have, that 17 posts, almost all the posts closed. Now, one particular post, that after permission only you got the post from us. How come you can say it is part and parcel of India? That we are going to talk between India and, that the Nepal, the border, the question and associated protests. Yes, something, the map released by Nepal, in what way it is going to have impact in India. Otherwise, the abrogation of article and associated release of, that the Jammu Kashmir, map, in what way it is impacted that Nepal, it may be concomitant effort we are talking about. And Indian diaspora, Indians living there, and Nepal is here, well. It is that way. See the relevance. I just applied what we spoke, the spirit in syllabus, in formalization. It is that way, ladies and gentlemen, that we have already seen, that the Prachanda, Pushpa Kamal Dahal, now, KP Sharma only we are talking about, Krishna Prasad Sharma, the Prime Minister of, that Nepal. It is that way. So, and what is the context, that I spoke the context already. In spite of that, it is right time. As I spoke in the beginning, ladies and gentlemen, very good evening, Nitya Sengotayan, and very good evening, Kumar. Welcome to Unacademy. This is Success Sampath interacting with you. Ladies and gentlemen, the context, yes, the Defense Minister inaugurated 80-kilometer long strategically crucial road, especially connecting Lipu Lake Pass, Darchula, Uttarakhand. This is the point ultimately. This inauguration ultimately resulted in the protest from Nepal, for your kind information. So when we take some measures for our security purpose, ultimately there comes issue. And you have to understand other side of the view also, in what way we can resolve. So the Nepal also published a map. Of course, what the map we are looking at. So Limpia Dura, whether that the Kalapani we are talking about, even the Lipu Lake, put together this particular thing, the bone of contention we are talking about. So the very Lipu Lake Pass here. So it is that way. The new map released by the Nepal, ultimately, mentioning all this, the portions, of course, that as if their own territories, that became bone of contention. And we suspect, that the Chinese parallelly, of course, it has got its own, that story behind it. And the context, it's not over. Of course, the Nepal's parliament, that's what I'm talking about. The new political map, that the parliament, it is official declaration. It is not someone, that in the media or some private individuals released. So the parliament has given approval for that particular map and featuring all those, alteration. Right. Though it is maintained by India, for your kind information, it is that way. So this Nepal's artificial enlargement, I think its sound is okay, I believe, ladies and gentlemen. If you feel echo, you parallelly tell me. and we can technically correct if at all you feel. Yes. So the Nepal's this artificial enlargement of territorial claims is untenable. That is what New Delhi stand, Indian stand. So our leaders, that then and they're making statements, it is that way, but they accuse, that you are keep on, they're taking advantage of COVID, you are not participating, you are not taking care, you are not eager to solve the issue. That's what their accusation. So Kathmandu, Nepal's capital, action violated the understanding reached between the two countries to resolve the boundary, that issues. The releasing of map, of course, irritation, recent irritation from our neighborhood we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. Definitely you can expect question, whether it is prelims or mains, that this is a thing. And very well the 200 years old relationship with Nepal, that's what we are talking about, the shared culture. Oh, thank you Nitya, fine sir, most welcome. Right, shared culture and history we are talking about, the age old connection, historical, cultural, traditional, of course tradition also part and parcel of culture, but anyway little bit elaboration, religious. That's what that the Buddhism associated, that history we have stolen. That's their accusation. Informal. They've got their own irritation. Well, it is that way. So whatever may be, that particular relationship, the connection is very close, physically, culturally. The landlocked neighborhood, of course, comprehensive and multidimensional. It is not this or that. That's what you are going to witness, ladies and gentlemen. So it is highly pronounced, this particular, that the nature of relationship, what I spoke, the closeness, the comprehensiveness, multidimensional aspects, not this or that. It is highly pronounced that you can witness in political, social, cultural, religious, economic engagements hitherto we had with Nepal. So beyond that, the two countries you might be, if at all you trace formal diplomatic connections when we initiated, so that goes back to, that 1947. Ladies and gentlemen, in what way the shared history, the shared culture, the shared commonality, it is Asia, it is South Asia, it is our neighborhood, the similarity of, that culture and civilization, more or less. Yes, it is that way. So where we share unwavering commitment, especially to the principles of peaceful coexistence. Of course, it is part of Panchsheel policy. Mutual respect, mutual non-aggression, non-interference in the internal affairs of any nation, mutual equality and peaceful coexistence. This is what Panchsheel policy. The principles of peaceful coexistence, because only when there is peace, there will be economic development. When you've got chaos, confusion, productivity maximization may not be there. Then it will have its own impact on happiness indices, ladies and gentlemen. So the peaceful coexistence, you can't choose your neighbor. Have peace with your neighborhood. Even most of the religions speaking this way. Okay, so the sovereign equality we are talking about. We treat you as equal partner. It is not bullying. It's not bullying like big brother. We don't do. We won't do definitely. We understand with more power comes more responsibility. But in spite of that, so the economic blockade, that the irritants in the past. Otherwise, the measures that we announced from domestic considerations, it has got its own unintended consequences impacting Nepal and their reaction, not response, reaction. So, and beyond that, the understanding each other's aspirations and sensitivities. That's why, that the sensitive issue, of course, security related, this border disputes we are talking about and claiming of territories, altering of the map by, Nepal. That's the context. All the areas of cooperation we enjoy with Nepal. If you ask me, probably, ladies and gentlemen, that goes back to 1952, because that Indian cooperation started in 1952 when with construction of the airstrip at the Gaucharan place. That started there. It's not new. I'm talking about 200 years of relationship. The linkages we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. So that's why that India has become the very key development. We have got our own say in Nepal's economy, and that is why that the line of assistance around $1 billion when Prime Minister Modi ji visited. Let me repeat, 2014, $1 billion that line of credit we are talking about. Apart from that, the economic transaction, it's a trade surplus for India, and that more than $1 billion we gain. For your kind information, that's also that a matter of concern from Nepal's point of view. And that happens, the deficit of trade, it happens always. Further, they should develop products, they should export to us, and people should be interested in buying all rest of the factors. Yes, so let's talk about in the area of cooperation first. that economic cooperation between, India and Nepal. So especially the areas of infrastructural development and capacity building. And capacity building in the sense, skill enablement we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen, especially of the human resources. So the major areas we are talking about. So infrastructural development and capacity building of the human resources, because a very tiny country, that naturally, that with open border with India, they are relying on India, partnership with India for all of their needs, you might be aware. So it is what is that? And that too, since the restoration of multi-party democracy, they had monarchy. Multi-party democracy, the Gyanendra family, the assassination, and Pushpa Kamal Dagal, that ultimately the communist government came there. Now we are talking about, that the KP Sharma Oli administration there. So since the days of, especially since the restoration of the multi-party democracy system, we are talking about in Nepal, especially in 1990s, ladies and gentlemen. So the areas of cooperation started. And not only that, a lot of institutions, that got established there with the support of India, the flagship institutions, part of, Nepal, especially the KP Koirala Institute of Health Sciences, and especially Dharan, that you are talking about, and Emergency Trauma Center at, that Bir Hospital, Kathmandu, and Manmohan Memorial Polytechnic at Biratnagar. So these flagship institutions, part of Nepal, got established with the support of, the ladies and gentlemen from India. And not only that, memorandum of understanding also signed, especially, that on development of, railway infrastructure, at 5 points we are talking about along the Nepal-India border, especially in 2010. So it is that way, that the rail link, especially, in the border, we are talking about 141, the plus kilometers, that I understand, the border areas, that connecting, especially this Lipu Lake region we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. It is that way. I think international conference on Nepal's reconstruction, recently the devastation because of earthquake. The international conference on Nepal's reconstruction held in Kathmandu, especially, 2050. And also BIMSTEC Ministerial Conference, held in Goa. They took part, the BIMSTEC along with, BRICS Summit, for your kind information. Nepal came and participated in Indian Goa, for your kind information. Not only that, the government of India, pledged, the fund of, that US dollar 250 million grants. And also, the soft loans we are talking about in terms of, 750 million US dollars. So the economic, that the support. The Prime Minister, as I told you earlier, Manmohan, so I'm not talking about previous Prime Minister. You had, the Polytechnic in that name, of course. Our current Prime Minister, that Modi ji, he announced, especially in 2014, the $1 billion to be utilized for financial development of the projects chosen by Nepal. Recently, they are finalized too. So it is that way we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. It is that way. I think that economic cooperation, and beyond that, the cooperation in sharing the water resources. How the India, the neighborhood, especially, the physical touch, the very closeness, we enjoy with, Nepal. In what way, that. So we have got, 3-tier mechanisms set up, that for both administrations, both governments, took part in that. What are all those? Of course, you talk about, JMCW, or Joint Ministerial Commission for Water Resources, Joint Committee on Water Resources, and Joint Standing Technical Committee to implement, that those agreements and treaties, and also water-related problems, that, and food and inundation. That's a problem here. And given the topography, of course, that the geographical feature. So it is that way, that ultimately, that mudslinging, ultimately, that will lead to loss of lives. Given, that subduction zone and the hotspots we are talking about. So it's that way. So not only that, the additional mechanism, the Joint Committee on Inundation and Flood Management, this is all the technical details on the part of, the sharing of the water resources, that between India and Nepal. So, why? Because even the Bihar, the Kosi River, Damodar River, the same way you talk about all these things, the issues of inundation, that for that you go for embankments and, flood forecasting also. So, because a small country, they need technical, economic, all-round, technological support, expertise also from Indian side. We that never hesitate to embrace them, except some, irritating moments, right? So the important, and beyond that, power trade agreement. When you talk about availability of water resources, you have to talk about power generation. So the two countries ultimately that the indulged in power development, of course, became power developers, and also trading the electricity across the border without restrictions. Because energy security is the key. Once again, I told you many times, that even the nuclear cooperation agreements, renewable energy, solar energy, everything, the energy that moves the nation. It is ultimately, that is what I'm talking about. Any bilateral, any leader visiting India, Indian leader visiting foreign nation, this in all, the permanent, it's like template, ladies and gentlemen. But how it is different from one nation to another nation, or one international institution to another international institution, or from one entity part of regional organization to another. That is the difference, the nuances you have to understand. Whatever may be, the two mega hydropower projects we are talking about, because of Indo-Nepal relationship, especially Upper Karnali and Arun third, we are talking about especially. I think this is sharing of the water resources and generating power, and also the calamities, of course, that the flooding, inundation, and building of embankments we are talking about. I think that's not over, ladies and gentlemen, and that it is very fantastic that we have got economic cooperation and sharing of the that energy and the area of concern. This is right time we have to enter, take you there. The area of security cooperation and boundary management. This is what the bone of contention, that we are talking about. That's why the Indo-Nepal relations we are touching now, the relevance to your delivery in examinations. So as I told you already, right, the releasing of map by Nepal, especially approval by the Parliament of Nepal, very well, the Lipule, Kalapani, and Limpiadura we are talking about. You have seen even the maps also. It is that way, that bone of contention we are talking about. See, so the various treaties, the past treaties we are talking about, that, and Sugauli and Naya Muluk treaty we are talking about, and also associated supplementary treaties in 1875, that goes back. I said 200 years of relationship with Nepal. It is not today, but the very short span of relationship the Nepal enjoys with Chinese, and with that they could solve all the issues, border disputes. But that's not happening with India. Why? So that is the thing. It is, we have to understand, we have to take the opportunity. There comes, the leaning of towards, China, especially Nepal. That's what, the accusation from media, whatever may be. So this area of contention is not new today, and it's from the past we are talking about outcome, finalization, still the irritations we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. So Nepal has got, one thing you have to understand, from their part they say, this is our territories, for that, come on, have these facts, have this, that document. They've got strong evidence. That is the point. That's the criticism ultimately. So what is that? The census, the people in that particular region, they participate, they are part of census, Nepal census, and they are also part of the voters list. And other government, that registers, they are claiming the documents. And from that particular region, from these areas, until 1962, you get, that they've got strong evidence, that to climb in what way we are going to, of course, that counter this. There comes question, and we have to find out, we have to devise a mechanism in such way it is possible. And through other measures, we have to compensate so that they feel, that very happy. They should not feel threatened. With more power comes more responsibility. Ladies and gentlemen, it is that way. So New Delhi urged the very Nepal to allow its territories to host 17 Indian checkposts before its war with China. That's what 1962. So India, that actually appealed to, Nepal in the sense you ask permission from someone, so naturally that becomes Nepal's position. That's what they are emphasizing. The Nepal taking this particular point. How come you can, ask permission for your own territory? That is the claim. So we have to work, very carefully over this particular thing. After Sino-Indian War, of course, 1962, how the unreliable partner in the neighborhood, China, betrayed our, the Jawaharlal Nehru, and given the fact in spite of Panchsheel policy. But India withdrew from out of 17, 16 posts, that check post, India withdrew from Nepal. So we are talking about the post at the Kalapani area, that's still there. That's not removed. That's what they are claiming now. 17 posts for which you acquired permission from us, and 16, okay, you withdrew, but one is there. Whose is, because that it's not like, because your like tenancy act we are talking about, your long presence that you can claim, that ownership over that. Of course, the bone of contention we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen, this particular Kalapani area, of course, causing the present day border row. the dispute. So the question they pose, if the Indian military post of Kalapani was set up on India's own land, why did it ask permission from Nepal? You asked permission to set up checkpost, the 17 number, the past, withdrew 16. So one is there. Whose it is? Actually, that naturally it is Nepal's. That's what their claim actually. So the government has to devise a mechanism in such a way to convince so that they are very happy with us. It is that way. Not only that, unlike Nepal border tension, the Nepal's border tension with India, the Nepal China have long since settled their border. This is what we are talking about. What works between you and why it's not working between India and Nepal. A lot of media criticism also that as I told you, they're leaning the Communist Party when Pushpa Kamal Dahal was there, Prachanda, we that suspected that the Chinese presence and lot of that the leaders from Nepal used to visit China. They are given all round comfort there. That is what media they're criticizing in so many aspects. I think you are aware, ladies and gentlemen. Let's have civilized talk here. So it is that way. So the Nepal-China boundary agreement and boundary treaty was signed in March 1960 and 1961 respectively. But Nepal's diplomatic relationship with China formally established only in 1955. Very recent history for them. Given the short span of time when they are capable of overcoming, how come it's not only that, you just see, so give and take policy. Nepal gave 1,806, that 36 square kilometers of land to China. But whereas China agreed to give 2,000, see the generosity. When they are fighting for, even the McMahon line, the border between India and, the China, it's a dispute. Even, keep on there, they're making the statement, Arunachal Pradesh is part and parcel of China. Tawang, that the regions, then and there they make claim ultimately. But they are very happy to share, as Pakistan shared Akshay Chin and other portions to the disputed territory, Jammu Kashmir portions to the China easily. See the generosity we are talking about. If it is your land, it is that way, whatever may be, ladies and gentlemen. But China showing generosity towards Nepal, we suspect. Beyond that, tragically, Nepal and India are still at loggerheads on the territorial demarcation settled between British India and Nepal. Because the 200 years of history as British colony, the Indian administration, we are yet to resolve. Even the northeastern insurgency, even the India-Pakistan issue, the remnants of the history, the past hurting us, unresolved dispute. It is that way, ladies and gentlemen. It is right time, let's fix the issue. Of course, the Nepal-China border demarcation would not have settled without China's lead. Ladies and gentlemen, it's China's, that interest, initiation, support. That is what, that ladies and gentlemen, we are emphasizing very well. We have to understand these nuances, geopolitics working in that particular region. And beyond that, that what is the way we can suggest? Yes, sir, we understood. Area of cooperation. We are also talking about, that in what way it can be resolved. Because it is not simply accusing. We have to be part of the solution. Whenever, that, I think, yeah, definitely it is useful because it's going to be, Nitya, it's going to be for 2021, 2022, that it's neighborhood. So, because, India's relationship with neighborhood in the sense, it's landlocked country immediately. You also link with China. So, it is, whenever you speak about China, there comes ultimately the role of these nations also. So, definitely you got relevance. The current affairs, it is always there. You don't worry, because what will happen in couple of months, we will go, otherwise leaders will be visiting, fixing the issue. It becomes current affairs for the next year. That's all. The evergreen portions we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. I think Nitya would have understood this. Yes, Nitya Sigotian. Yes, I think millions of migrant Nepalis working in India. You have to understand what makes us, to be prompt in solving this as soon as possible. So the migrants of Nepal here working here, you might be aware the good cause. Most importantly, India is one of the biggest development partners in Nepal. India gets, the remittances, especially for your kind information. It is that way we are talking about, because that people are working here. It is that way. Investments, ultimately, Indians working there and sending investments here. And Indian state establishment must take lead for what? To resolve the border tension with friendly neighbor Nepal, because we should not lose our friend. We almost to some extent lost, I should say. Somewhere we have to fix, that's what we that we have got hope in, the Prime Minister Modi ji in this connection, as he intervened in the past and fixed the issue. If Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, that comes up with the border solution, and he can turn the tide of the anti-Indian sentiment. You know what happened? So they started feeling, that India is like behaving like Big Brother, indulging in bullying activity. That the very Nepalese population came to the street, even in the media, the social network, the protest came, the anti-Indian sentiments started spreading. That's not good. We have to enjoy the goodwill of our neighborhood, given, the close connectivity, the all-round multifaceted linkages we are talking about. So, that when Prime Minister Modi, that could fix the issue, that in 2014, same way it can be done, and we are very optimistic in that way. Not only that, the fast track, that border solution to prevent feuds among friends. It's not doing, that aram se, and there is no place for, procrastination, ladies and gentlemen. It is right time we resolve this, that as soon as possible. Otherwise, the Chinese hand, Chinese presence will be more, and they'll be strengthening that, that enemy is enemy, friend concept comes in ultimately. Already we lost, that our neighborhood, our estranged brother Pakistan, the China-Pakistan economic corridor, very well. And it has become debt trap nation, that please don't lose, that Nepal. There comes a question. And well, why? Because, the security aspects we are talking about, Nepal and India have roughly, 1,800 kilometers long open border. And apart from that, we spoke, all around cultural similarities, the shared history and culture, the civilization we are talking about. Why do you, it's almost like India, why do you miss that portion? Enjoy the goodwill. It's not good when we are developing, when we want to become, superpower. How come you can lose your neighborhood? Keep the house in order, keep the region in order. So as this is the right time to recall Madeleine Albright, the former Secretary of State of United States of America, especially Bill Clinton administration. When we were talking about, reforming of international institutions, she posed a question, let's, especially towards India. First, are you a regional player? Are you a leader in South Asia? Later you can think about it. That is the meaning. First you become, that leader in your own locality, the region, the family, of course, South Asia, the Indian subcontinent. Later you can think about becoming global aspirations. That in response to that, of course, we evolved Gujarat Doctrine, thanks to former Prime Minister, former External Affairs Minister I.K. Gujarat. That's working very well, that we took India to the next level. And it's because of economic recession to, the 2008, we came down again. That Gujarat Doctrine benefited us very well. We helped, all our small neighbors. The trade in SAARC grew to the next level. SAFTA. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to understand this. When that is the scenario, the shared spirit with the neighborhood, that I repeat once again, that otherwise it will disturb the peace. It is diverting our attention. It will have its own impact on economy, and otherwise, that it's once again becoming like Cold War. That reincarnation of, the Cold War between USA and China. Otherwise, when the 21st century for Asia, but it should not become, a theater for the conflict between India and China. Even if we reach, that in the short span of time, that this global superpower status, we want to have amicable relations with everybody. Even that is what, we emphasize the Panchsheel policy, even the non-aligned movement summit, especially through Afro-Asian conferences. And the neo threat because of this, neo-imperialism, that neo-colonization that we witness, that through aggressive China, especially through Belt Road initiatives. And if Nepal falling prey to that machination, in what way we can counter? So it is right time we have to intervene. It is that way we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. So, and not only that, Nepal is also needed India very much, given the fact open border and economy, that the remittances we are talking about, and, water sharing, the power generation, and education institutions, and capacity building on the part of human resources. And all those students, coming to mainland India for studying purpose, ladies and gentlemen. It is that way they are running short of, that those established institutions. And even if at all they set up, that they set up those institutions with the support of India. You have seen the flagship, institutions in Nepal with the support of India. It is that way. When that is the scenario, ladies and gentlemen, for India, more than 30,000 Nepali Gurkha soldiers. Gurkha, you talk about now. They are very instrumental forces, especially in protecting, that the bone of contention, the contested borders. And very well, Nepal as India's seventh largest, that remittance sending countries. That especially the Gulf countries. I think that I spoke in previous discussions also, especially Carolites, our Indians in different parts of the world, Indian diaspora in the Middle East, America, and different parts of the world. After earning money, they bring back to the nation. That's what I said. Prime Minister Modiji's, the diaspora diplomacy, appealing our, the NRIs, Indian diaspora living there, to take part in the developing Indian, the developmental process. When they send back the money, it's ultimately getting invested, maybe venture capitalism, foreign direct investment. Even the remittances they send back to the parent families here. So, for example, when there was a dispute, especially because of the ISIS, that to some extent, got control. Again, they are resurfacing for your kind information. And given the fact, US withdrawal in that particular region, even US in withdrawal mode, even from Afghanistan, the story. That Middle East, of course, it is the resurface we are talking about. When there was issue was at the peak, that it is, that Islam, the sectarian violence we are talking about in the Middle East region, Sunni and Shia especially, well, and even the ISIS recruitment, carried out in India through social network. The government noticed that, especially from Maharashtra, Kalyan region, 2 students participated, recruited, went there, and the process they died. And in that scenario, we come to know, that how to protect Indians, in that region. When ISIS is fighting with, the forces, American forces, European forces, NATO forces, to establish peace in that region, how come we can bring back our Indians diaspora there, where we come to know around $40 billion remittances from, that, especially from that particular region, for your kind information. The same way, so it will enrich that the foreign exchange reserves for your information. It will have its own impact, special role to be that towards economic development of the nation, when we are already having deficit budget. Got the idea? It is that way we are talking about. So what is this? The same way that Nepal's that largest remittance that sending countries, especially the order that 7th list we are talking about. Nepal is a top border trading partner. And that among India's 6 neighboring nations. For your kind information, it's not more than Bhutan, Bangladesh, China, Nepal, and Pakistan, Myanmar. You understand the importance, that the biggest trade partner. And Nepal also needed India very much for your kind information, ladies and gentlemen. So this is symbiotic, that it is that way. Of course, that in terms, we are blessed with so much of resources, given the economy size, given population dividend, given technological advancement, given human resource development, given our focus, given our vision. And so when comparing with that, of course Nepal is not matching, but they should not feel so. We have to treat that particular Nepal in such a way so that that feeling comfortable, facilitating. It should be that inclusive governance when you take into account the big picture of Asia, especially South Asia. So that wherever, because it happens, right? That's what I'm talking about. That we spoke in the case of Sri Lanka also, that when you engage all these small neighborhood, whatever may be the international fora, we nations from South Asia can combine together. We can work as a pressure group or as a cartel to influence the policy decisions of, the international institutions, so that it never goes against developing an underdeveloped world. Or even when we are talking about, especially the global fora, whether it is, even recently we heavily, that spoke against, as US spoke against World Health Organization, we also said there should be restructuring of World Health Organization. As we say, there should be restructuring of United Nations Organization, expansion of the Security Council, so that India and the Group 4 countries, well, the India, the Germany, and, that the very Japan, the Brazil can be accommodated there. We are talking about it. So for that particular cry, it's not, that a sole voice that India can become. There should be a concerted voice. For that, you need team. It becomes, mass voice. As we said now, moral force. Why, why can't we generate mass voice? Collective bargaining at the international fora, by engaging in all our neighbors, by treating all our neighbors in a civilized manner, especially. But we are doing it, but it's very natural. Cooperation and conflict, hallmarks of the society, but that ups and downs will be there. Somewhere we have to fix. This is what opportunity for us, ladies and gentlemen. When that is the scenario, right, that, so we are talking about India's trade surplus with Nepal is $1 billion. That even the India-China, that I think recently India banned all these Chinese apps given the security reasons, you might be aware. There you come to know. Even banning of IPL, the sponsorship, not IPL. Ladies and gentlemen, it is that way. And most of the institutions getting, that investments from the China, and even that all those delivery mechanisms, that Zomato, the Tencent, and so much of organizations. The trade surplus, of course, that in favor of China. Between India and China, because the largest manufacturer is China. When comparing with, the India-China relationship, the trade surplus is in favor of China. The same way, between India and Nepal, the trade surplus is in favor of India, given, that our own, the blessed position, our advantages all round in various aspects. It is that way we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. So the trade surplus to the tune of $1 billion. So Nepal's, the transit and transportation agreement, TTA, we are talking about, especially the northern neighbor, the China, and allowing access to Chinese roads and ports, that for the third country, especially trade and transit, the landlocked Nepal heavily relies, especially heavily relying on Indian ports for your, the kind information, ladies and gentlemen. You know very well the landlocked portion, the very Nepal, almost like, that, especially the northern portion, you might be aware, the 18,000, open border we are talking about. So it has to come to, that the very, Calcutta, that the Kolkata we are talking about, the port, especially for logistics. So the very port, Indian port support, the landlocked nation, the demanding. Other side, maybe, the Chinese, that advantage, of course, it's talking about. But you know very well the effective role played by, that especially maritime logistics we are talking about, the shipment. So to move heavy, that luggages, very well, especially, that the cargo operations we are talking about. Though it is, that taking much time, it has got its own advantages. Otherwise, the very acceptance of, that the cargo, the shipment mechanism for Nepal, especially through the Indian ports, that it is heavily relying on India for this particular purpose. So where, that Nepal also should understand in that connection, the shared, commitment from Nepal. It is not only, that expecting, India to be proactive, and we also expect the same way the Nepal to be proactive, and parallelly, that downplaying their engagement with China more. Otherwise, it may have its own impact. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, they may use, Bangladesh. It has got other way around we are talking about. In spite of that, we are saying it is this way. This is right time, that. I think, so far we spoke, about the very context in which, that we are talking about Indo-Nepal, relationship. I think, meanwhile, let me take one question. How could we join in our Telegram channel? Please provide us the link to join. I think Nitya Sengotian, yes, I told you. I think you can go for, that identity, the ID, the Sampath Thiruvengidam or Success Sampath. You can reach Telegram using that ID, even YouTube channel. Meanwhile, I think, yes, ladies and gentlemen, I think, that in that way you can, that interact with me to get the more details. I think it is right place, that to take you, and before going for revision, I think the resources to be consulted, we are keep on talking. See, even today's Hindu editorial talking about the change of leadership in Japan, in what way India benefited, the Abenomics, the Shinzo Abe, that because of his ill health, it goes to, that another gentleman, and who is already, the chief of, the cabinet secretary level, of course. And it is the continuity of the practices we are even today's editorial talking about that. The strategic partnership we engaged with Japan, that took us to the next level. We are talking about, so when that is the scenario, everyday reading of Hindu newspaper, especially Hindu editorials, especially the bottom portion, because the rest of the things narration. And to counter the balance, you can go for Indian Express, because sometimes the Hindu is not free from the accusation of its own leaning towards communist ideology. The critical thinking, you take some facts, it's not accusation. We have to be to have balanced that delivery in our examination, not contradicting with the government stand. And I think it is right for you to get exposed to Rajya Sabha TV debates, the India Scan, all those programs we are talking about, so you understand the diplomatic value systems we practice. So it is not only that, that if you talk about, there are commercial guides available in the market, maybe Pavnit Singh, even as a part of your hobby. That's what I'm emphasizing. Think everything in a big picture. See, once JFK visited, the POTUS, President of United States of America, visited the NASA, and he was asking the janitor who was cleaning with broom, janitor, Mr. Janitor, what you are doing? Then immediately the janitor replied, Mr. President, I am helping NASA to put a man on the moon. It is not brooming, it's not sweeping. Ladies and gentlemen, you have to understand the big picture. So it's not simply you are, for the scoring purpose you prepare, you understand with the right intention, that you are going to be part of the solution of India, part of the solution of the global humanity, global community. In the sense, you have to think everything in a big picture that demands not mere scoring based study, not mere commercial guides. So that, that is the reason we expect you to get exposed to the various articles by columnists in the newspapers, especially, C. Raja Mohan, who has also written a book called Modi's World. The foreign policy related discussions, and beyond that you talk about the very David Malone, will India dance, and even Shashi Tharoor's that a lot of writings we are talking about, especially Pax Indica. It is that way I want you to the consult all the, it's a matter of hobby I'm talking about. Once you do that, you redefine your hobby, that parallelly benefits your ambition. It is that way we are talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, I think it is right time to sum up. Nitya Sengotian, could you provide PDF, for your session? Yeah, definitely. You can download. You can also contact Unacademy. They will help you. They will guide you. And otherwise, that you can reach me. We can definitely support you, Nitya. I think it is right way. I think it is right time, ladies and gentlemen. I think that it is. Let me take you to the that very revision portion here. So this is all about that India-Nepal relationship. The context came because of the border dispute. Rest of the things working very well, and even the trade. I told you, right? It is that $1 billion surplus which is in favor of India, and in spite of that our suspicion, it's not suspicion. In spite of their closeness, that with China, that rest of the aspects working very well. Only this border dispute, especially over Lipu Lake, Kalapani, region we are talking about, and why it's because of that, that 6 posts that we got from Nepal, the check post especially withdrew from there. Only 1 post. That's why that the claim. Not only that, and we went for abrogation of Article 370, where we restructured Jammu Kashmir, and the state would become union territories. The very well administration, everything well now. So it's no more Article 370. Because of that, we ultimately that claimed the land portion. It is that way. Yeah, sure, Nitya. You can be in touch with me. I can. So it is that way, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about. So it's because of that what happened, that it's a reaction from Nepal, especially. They started releasing its own map and recently got parliamentary approval too. And given the fact we enjoy, the 200 years of relationship with, the very Nepal, that the shared history, shared culture, shared, the custom, tradition, the linkages we are talking about. Not only that, the shared resources, the water resources especially, and even the that we helped Nepal in setting up its own the education institutions, and we have signed MOU also. And not only that, the water resources on its sharing, not only helping that to build the embankments and to control the flooding or inundation, and also we harness that water resources for hydroelectricity generation we are talking about. And beyond that, that the various international fora, that we participate, we engage, the Nepal, especially whether it is, that SAARC, whether it is BIMSTEC, that and associated, that BRICS, the meet happen in, that the very Goa. Not only that, the BIMSTEC ministerial happened when former, that External Affairs Minister, Ms. Sushma Swaraj was alive. She effectively conducted. All these things, apart from our Prime Minister's Modi ji's visit and to fix the past issues, that we discussed, because the economic blockade happened, and the shared ethnicity connection, the Madheshi population, Indian connectivity living there. Even citizenship amendment bill, what we are discussing, it has become controversy. That became act where we are talking about the Hindus residing outside, they can easily come. So that favored, of course, once again. So that should not threaten parallelly there the very Nepali administration. So all these things we take into account, ladies and gentlemen. We spoke about not only shared history, shared culture, we spoke about the area of cooperation in terms of sharing water resources, economy, and also we spoke about security concern, associated aspects, in what way we can take forward, because we need Nepal. Nepal needs more than other countries, the very India support, and given the facility enjoys, through Indian port. Ladies and gentlemen, and apart from that, line of, the credit $1 billion, Prime Minister Modi's gesture, I think this is right time for me to sign off, ladies and gentlemen. I think, we will meet tomorrow, same time, for some other topics. It is that way, and you will be intimated, and you can watch the YouTube channels, to know the tomorrow's topic parallelly. Ladies and gentlemen, I think, this is success Sampath so far interacted with you, and you can use my referral code. Let me say once again, the success, to avail 10% discount to enroll yourself. Wishing you all the very best and best of luck. Ladies and gentlemen, I think the interaction for the 1 hour, would have enriched your understanding towards this Indo-Nepal, and in particular, and India's neighborhood relations in general. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Have a fantastic evening. Thank you. And thank you, Nitya. Yes, I answered. Thank you. Thank you, Nitya Sengotayan. Yes, everybody. Let's meet tomorrow. Thank you. Yes.